Liz Davis, welcome back to OV Boss Babes.
Thank you, Holly.
Now, Liz, in my opinion, you are the Ottawa Valley's top tier tattoo artist, and you have been tattooing for over a decade now. Isn't that crazy to think?
That's wild.
Like, that's a long, long time
Yeah.
to be in your art industry. But for those that don't know, your full career history, you actually started out in hairstyling with your first business being Bombshells, but it wasn't Bombshells Tattoo Studio, it was Bombshells Hair. So give me and my listeners a little history rundown of the Bombshells brand and how you made the decision to sell Bombshells Hair Studio and focus strictly on Bombshells Tattoo.
Okay, so for me, I was thinking I wanted to have a family. I was doing hair, I was doing tattoos, and I was working 14 hours a day, around the clock, working all the time. So I wanted to focus more on, the family situation and stuff like that. And tattooing was like my number one choice. So getting rid of the hair salon was sort of an easy decision once I figured my life out. Yeah.
Now, I know we jumped into this question, and now I kind of want to jump out of it a little bit because you had always been tattooing. You've always been interested in art. You were working as an apprentice. Well, not even as an apprentice. So, sorry, you were working as a receptionist at the Wizzard's Den back in the day.
Yeah.
And so how did you even stumble into hairstyling initially? Like, why was tattooing not the first venture that you wanted to go down?
So this is a kind of a funny question. I was told I could never make a living doing art. So I tried to do all of the artistic careers, whether it was cake decorating, hairstyling, anything that was like creative without actually doing art, like painting, tattooing, and that kind of stuff. So I could be an artist and make a living, but not jump into that. I tried to avoid it.
Yeah. How old were you when you first opened Bombshells?
I bought a hair salon when I was, I think 27.
Okay.
That was in 2012. So
Long ago.
The tattoo shop came in 2014 officially.
Okay, so you were only in business running Bombshells Hair for 2 years, and then you opened up Bombshells Tattoo 2 years later?
Yeah.
That was quick.
I was actually doing my hair styling apprenticeship and tattoo apprenticeship like at the same time.
At 27, 29 years old.
Yeah, doing both.
How did you do that? That's busy. That's a lot.
I mean, I did hair from, 9 to 3, and I tattooed 3 till whenever. Like I tattooed very late, so I was like very driven. I was super work focused, and I just wanted both.
Yeah. It's so crazy to think of us like in our 20s doing all the things before we had kids.
Yeah.
And think to ourselves, where did we find the time? And you realize now, how much our kids and our family really consumes our time.
For sure, yeah.
And how much less you have to kind of take on once you start building your family and everything. But I look back on that timeless because I remember it fondly.
Yeah.
I remember like the shops and how they were intertwined with one another and how you were literally running back and forth in between. You had your dog there.
Yeah.
You had a great team of women that were all working for you. But what were those early days like being in business by yourself?
They were so much fun. Like it was like my dream was falling into place back then. I was thirsty. I wanted to work hard, and I wanted everything.
And you wanted to do something different in the Ottawa Valley too, because again, the Wizzard's Den, which was such a profound and well-known place in the Ottawa Valley, like Ivan Henderson. I mean, everybody knew him. Everybody wanted to work for him.
Yeah,
and he was one of the the most talented tattoo artists. What was it like working under him?
I mean, we had a lot of fun, but he was a total hard ass. Like if you didn't do something right or whatever, like he told you so that you could, fix what you were doing wrong and move on from that. We had a lot of fun. It was a big family actually working there, and I got to know a lot of key people in my life now are from back in those days. Yeah.
Okay. So you had this experience, you had you were immersed in the tattoo industry in that world. but yet you went down the path of doing hairstyling, and it's what you loved, and it is what you're really good at too.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that you've enjoyed for such a long time. And you went into business with a former business partner at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You ended up buying her out.
Yep.
You took over that business and you built it to the brand that what it is today. And for those that don't know, Bombshells Hair is still standing, but you sold the business.
I did. Yes.
How long did you contemplate that decision before you realized that you wanted to focus on Bombshells Tattoo?
I didn't focus on it for too long, honestly. I live my life by feel. So if something like isn't feeling right, or if I have a new idea, I'm sort of impulsive in a way, and I just need to go with it. So I did want to focus more on tattooing, and just decided to get rid of the salon. And I did have a buyer pretty much right away. A really awesome girl, a girl I was friends with. Her name is Jordan, and she was gung-ho, and she did a good job when she had it as well.
Now, Liz, I would find that if I were to sell OV Boss Babes, which, who knows, might come at a point in time down the road, or I would just maybe just shut it down altogether, because I don't know if I could strictly see somebody else run my brand, especially not being like the same way or the same format that I do, or maybe even I would have that imposter syndrome of them doing a better job at it. What was that experience like for you? Because again, at the time you were still right next door. Like you were right there in the old Yoki's location.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weight off my shoulders in a way, to be able to focus. Still right beside the business as well, but it was less than I had to do, and I knew that it was in Jordan's hands, and she could do a great job, and so I wasn't really scared of situations, like I just knew that she could handle it. And it's been taken over now by somebody else, and they are thriving. So I think it's really cool to see the changes that have come of everything.
Okay, Liz, but I want to dissect this a little bit further. Let's be honest with me.
Yeah.
How hard was that though, separating yourself, even though you had sold the business? At the end of the day, that's still something that you built. That was still your brand.
Yeah.
Like, did you not have any feelings, maybe even any remorse? Or were you at that point in time that you're like, I'm confident that Jordan is going to take this on. She's going to do her own thing. I'm no longer part of this. I'm going to focus on Bombshells Tattoo.
I kind of, like, when I was making the decision to sell, it was like sort of at that point, I went through the mourning process. Like, what will my life look like not having this baby anymore, because that's where I sort of started out in business for myself. It was interesting to see, the different people working and everything like that, but I just was ready to let it go. So as much as it was strange to not have that a part of my life, like I wanted to move on to different things. Yeah.
Now, focusing back on the tattoo aspect, I do want my listeners to learn a little bit more about how you developed your unique artistic talents. And like I was saying earlier about how instrumental Ivan Henderson was, and how he really empowered you to take on this magical, empowering art form, especially because you started with no experience, no background, and you were the receptionist there.
Yeah. So growing up, I painted with my grandmother a lot. I was a very creative kid, and having Ivan be my mentor, he was into all kinds of art himself, tattoo wise, like he worked in various styles and sort of didn't stick to one particular way of doing things. So for me to learn, it was like I was learning a bunch of different styles. I didn't put myself into sort of one tattoo category per se. I sort of was able to take all of them on, and I feel like that sort of helped me in my career. I wasn't like pigeonholed as just a traditional artist, or neo-traditional or realism or whatever. I sort of like dabbled in all of them, so I felt like I could accommodate a lot of different clients.
Yeah.
It
was a different time back then, though, too, Liz. There weren't many female tattoo artists. It was mostly a male-dominated industry. I would say that's the opposite now. I see way more women as tattoo artists and piercers than I do men.
Yeah.
I think that women are just dominating this industry, but back in the 2000s, that wasn't the case.
Lisa pretty much was the only female tattoo artist that I knew of for a while, you know, and then Velvet started tattooing as well. And I mean, both of them kind of dominated our area, you know?
They did. They did.
Yeah.
What was that like though for you? Like, I mean, obviously, I keep referencing Ivan because he gave you guys that space.
He gave me my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a pretty powerful thing if you think about it. And he really empowered you women.
Yeah.
Working under him, but not only just like working under him, but like you guys were able to really make a name for yourselves in the Ottawa Valley. And I think that's why, like, alongside your artistic abilities and alongside with your personality, because people are so drawn to you, Liz, like you just have such a warm personality, which is so funny, you know, with your exterior and looking so badass and everything, but yet you just have such a warm heart of gold, and you're just so I don't know, you're so grounded and you're so comforting, and you're just so warm and fuzzy to others, and I think that's why so many people are drawn to you. But the exterior part of tattooing, especially with women, like if a woman had a tattoo, like the whole tramp stamp thing, you know, it was badass, and it was like skanky, if you will. Like it wasn't a good look for women. So like, how did you find that you fit into that at that time when it wasn't like the social norm?
Like, I just saw those people as like artistic and creative. I felt like they were my people. So it was a pretty neat group of people to kind of get into. And I feel like now there are so many different styles of people or personalities in this industry. And I just feel like it's more accepting, and you can reach more people with, I don't know, just the way that people are more accepting. Like it's not just a biker that's, you know, tattooing, or it's not just a slutty looking chick on a stripper pole, you know. It's like there's so many different styles of artists, and like I feel like they are just more approachable now.
I remember when my sister Erin got her tattoo. She was the first one in our family to get a tattoo, and she got, I believe you did it, on the back of her neck, and it was like a swirl, and it had like, I think all of our birthstones and stars or something like that. And I'll never forget when I like looked at her and I was like, Erin, you know, like one day when you're a granny and you're gonna have like the short hair and you're gonna be sitting in church, I said, and everyone's gonna be looking at that old wrinkled tattoo, like it's not gonna be a good look. And she's like, yeah, it is. I'm gonna be like a badass granny sitting in church. And she's like, or I won't be sitting in church, I'll be sitting somewhere else. But she's like, I won't be the only one. Like everybody is gonna be like that. And now when I'm thinking, like, especially women that have sleeves, I think it's so hot. I think it's so badass. I think it's so incredible that women are able to take ownership over of their bodies, have that control, because we were dictated that was wrong, that we had to cover up, that we had to hide it. It wasn't even appropriate for you to show any kind of tattoo at work, in the workplace. Look at the military and how much progress has been made. Police officers, like, I've seen police officers with sleeves, and I'm like, that's like good. You shouldn't have to cover that up. But again, like, to think that for so long, we as women were conditioned and were told that we didn't have that self-control of our own bodies, that's sad.
It is.
But you never felt bad for doing that.
No, I didn't. I just wanted to be decorated. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be decorated. Well, Liz, how would you say then that the stigma surrounding women in tattoos have revolutionized over the years, especially, like I said, when you first started tattooing to now? How would you say it's changed?
Like everything is so accepted now. The judgment is so much less. There's all walks of life, all genders are being tattooed, and I just feel like the whole community is so much more accepting of people in general today than ever before.
Yeah, I agree. And Liz, you're one of the many women who have helped pave the way for other women to pursue tattooing as a career, especially with the opening of Bombshells Tattoo Studio. And you had a full-fledged team of badass female tattoo artists that worked under the Bombshells name, as well as piercers as well. So how did you determine who would work alongside you? And I say alongside with you because they didn't work for you. They worked with you as the team.
Yeah. I wanted to have a super fun environment. I wanted to go to work and make things not feel like work. So I just wanted to have people around me that were like very inspiring, very passionate about what they were doing, and just wanted to be there. And so, I mean, if you had those qualities, chances are you could, join the team.
How was that received when you guys basically announced that like it was an entirely female run brand, an entirely group of female run tattoo artists and piercers that you even had like a massage therapist at one time?
I mean, I feel like it was received fairly well, with people wanting to come in, and it was a relaxed environment. I felt like easily approachable, and it took the sort of scariness out of things to be all girls.
The other thing too is that you were empowering so many women by offering that opportunity. Because again, Liz, there were no other tattoo studios that were all female based.
Yeah.
That welcomed women in the art form of the tattoo art form to be able to like offer their services and stuff. And they were all independent contractors as well, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So how did that work?
The independent contractors?
Yeah.
Okay. So that decision was made sort of based on having employees with, the hair salon and stuff. I feel like people work better when they're not being told what to do. Personally, like if somebody is breathing down my neck, you have to work these hours, you have to do this. Being an artist, like it's sort of hard to follow rules. So if you can just make your own rules and do what works for you, I felt like that sort of worked for us. So, I mean, if you need a day off to do whatever you need to do or go somewhere or do something, like you don't have to lie to me about it and, make up some kind of crazy excuse to go to a concert or whatever. Like you can just set your schedule and make your life the way that you want it to be. And I feel like if you're, curating everything in your own life, like it's easier to stick to your own rules versus someone else's.
Well, it's kind of nice too because they can set their hours, they can set their price points.
Yeah.
I love that they're able to kind of like work when they want to work, and they don't want to work or they need some time off. Like that's totally fine. And, and it was a really nice vibe, coming in and seeing who was working that day.
Yeah.
I remember Carrie actually like doing one of my tattoos and everything for me, which was so kind and generous of her. And we were able to kind of like have a nice quiet time in the evening with nobody else around us. We were both crying because it was an emotional tattoo, and we were able to connect. And I thought that was so nice that I didn't have to be around anybody else. Nobody else had to hear me. It was kind of like a therapy session.
It is.
Which
I
was
call
so
it
nice.
Therapy.
Yeah. Which is like such a nice experience, like you'd never think of that.
Yeah.
The best way to understand life in a Lapine apartment is to hear from the happy people who call one home.
We were just starstruck by the place. It's so quiet and safe.
It's a good space. We got 2 bedrooms and an office.
It's really convenient and comfortable.
They got a full-size gym, which is kind of awesome.
You really get to relax and do the things that you really like within the building.
We finally have a place to call our own.
Yeah.
Call the Lapine apartment home in a neighborhood you love.
The reason why I work with Amanda Walker.
Working with Amanda, absolute delight working with her. She's a ray of sunshine.
We love working with Amanda. I really love how she's able to engage the staff. They love working with her.
Very knowledgeable in social media, and she's really, really fun and easy to work with.
Stressful to be in front of the camera for some people, and because he is comforting, Amanda is able to get my staff involved.
It frees up a lot of my time that I don't really have to do that part of the job.
I have more followers than ever, and my engagement is the best that it's ever been.
So I do remember, Liz, when like you had changed your structure, the automated email had come out, letting everybody know that they could book directly with their tattoo artist. Like, here was their contact information. And I believe that email, you're going to have to change that at some point with your automated response. Well, no, I guess you wouldn't have to, because everybody still, if they message Bombshells Tattoo, like, they can still like get all the information to book with their direct tattoo artist. Okay, so that's the reason why I just answered my own question. But you have on your page that your books are closed.
Yeah.
Your books have been closed for a very long time.
Yeah.
So you're not taking any new clients.
Not totally. They have been closed, and I have been very selective taking new projects on. I have a pretty good clientele, honestly. We have a lot of big projects on the go. And I mean, once something is done, if I've seen you for 5 or 10 years, like, I'm going to keep you on my roster. I want to keep, going back to my roots and the people that like I was with in the beginning, so I have taken on some new projects, but I have been very selective of content and stuff like that. I just want everything I'm doing to bring me joy. So I have been picky.
Yeah.
With what I'm doing. Yeah.
How do you get to that point? How do you get to that caliber within your industry, Liz, to be able to say, my books are closed, I'm going to be a little bit more selective about who I take on, like, especially for a tattoo artist who's maybe just starting out and thinking, I want to be like Liz Davis someday?
Well, I had to work 100 hours a day to get there. I worked so much. I worked evenings and weekends and, all the time. I was always working. I was always putting out new stuff. I was always networking and just being available for people. And I got to know a lot of people through the hair salon and just being in the community, out socializing and stuff. I had to shamelessly self-promote, plug myself all the time. And eventually you reap the benefits, I guess.
Did you find that hard to self-promote?
Yeah, I feel like it's awkward just saying, hey, come get tattooed by me, and, like posting and stuff like that. Like, I'm not super showboaty. I don't necessarily want to be doing those things all the time, but like, just to get yourself out there, you really have to put that aside and just do it.
Yeah. And see, for me, I feel like you didn't really even need to do that because you had built a name for yourself organically so early on. And again, like, I just had this conversation with another entrepreneur who started out in the industry before social media started. And it's just such an interesting way to navigate it. But it's also kind of nice when you kind of already have that reputation built. You've already gained the trust from your community, and word of mouth is the best form of marketing, because it's like, oh my gosh, like, and especially when you're a walking example of your tattoos, and people can look down and see and be like, oh, who did that one? And you're able to say like, oh, Liz Davis at Bombshells. Okay, well, that's where I'm going next. Yeah. You don't really even need to worry about social media. But unfortunately, like, in this day and age, like, not to say that people are going to run out of space, but they might just even say like, I'm done with my tattoos. Like, I don't want any more. And so I think it's a good thing, just to kind of have some space to be able to leave that open for new potential clients that, might have a special tattoo in mind. Yeah. Now, this September, Liz, you're celebrating 10 years in business of Bombshells Tattoo. And that's actually a really huge milestone. But for those that don't know, earlier this year, you actually announced that you were closing your downtown space in downtown Pembroke, and you were shifting to a home studio space as a multifunctional tattoo and art hub.
Yes.
How long have you been sitting on that decision for?
Again, it was sort of a quick decision. I mean, Carrie and I had been talking for a few years. I know that she had wanted to sort of quiet her life down a little bit and operate out of her home. And for me, I really did like the shop environment and the big studio and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of came at a time in my life. We were building a house. I had just sort of acquired a property and didn't want the hassle of like overhead rent. There was a lot of factors, actually. My husband took a job and he works away a lot. So having 2 small kids, I did want to be at home a little bit more for my family and have a quieter life so that I could take care of them.
Sorry, no, that's okay. We can stop. That's okay. Well, we're just in the middle of recording, but that's okay. Oh, thank you. Are you Lance, by the way? Hi, I'm Holly. Nice to meet you. Hi, nice to meet you. No, that's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. The space is perfect, by the way. Everything's great. Thank you guys so much. Okay, thank you. I know I heard the knock and you were wrapping up at a good time, so I was like, no, that's okay. Aw. So Liz, you had been in a studio space for 21 years. So when you had relayed this information to your team, how did everybody take the news? What was their reaction? Were they sad? I mean, obviously you and Carrie had this discussion, but it wasn't just you and Carrie working at Bombshells. Like,
No, I mean, it was pretty tough for some of the girls, you know. It was sort of an unexpected circumstance, but for me, it was just the direction of my life. You know, I wanted a slower life. I wanted to be at home more for the kids and stuff. So it wasn't received well from everybody.
Right.
It was what I needed, and I feel like everybody is in a good place now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough in the beginning, having to break some hearts almost.
Well, because I think for so long, like they're operating under a brand,
Yeah.
a well-known brand. So even though that they are subcontractors, they're not subcontractors.
Yeah. Well,
Independent contractors. Yeah. So even though that they're acting as independent contractors, they're still operating under the name, under the brand name.
Yeah.
And for the most part, like that's reputable.
Mhm.
Like even their artwork and everything, like people can be under their own name and stuff, but they're still falling under a brand. And I think that can be challenging too, especially like for a home base. They don't have to worry about anything. They've got that home environment. And then to know like, okay, now my next steps, where am I going? What am I doing? Am I going to operate out of my home? Am I going to be successful operating myself without that attachment to Bombshells?
Mm-hmm.
I think that could definitely be hard, but I know it's never easy. It's never easy to like, not necessarily like close a business because that's not what you did, but to shift your business to only operate like one person under yourself in a home-based business.
Yeah.
How did you find that transition? How are you finding it actually?
I mean, I'm still transitioning. I am not in my big juicy space yet. I'm working out of the cutest little 10 by 16 shed I've ever seen. And it totally fits my aesthetic. But yeah, I am still transitioning. We are in the process of building a loft, a studio loft, and it's not done yet, but I mean, eventually when it is, it will house all of my artsy needs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Liz, for those that haven't ventured out to Sandy Beach Road to see this new oasis, share with me and my listeners about what your new art and tattoo space looks like and how your combined love for pottery and woodworking and sewing and artwork will all fit into this new passion project.
So my new spot will be, I'm guessing, around 1,000 square feet. It's going to be a nice space with a pottery area and a sewing area and a painting area and a spot to do woodworking and a beautifully lit space for tattooing.
So just a little bit of everything.
Just like, yeah, it's going to be amazing.
All of your love for artwork all combined into one.
Yeah.
Lady, where are you going to have the time for all of this?
Well, I mean, my kids are in school 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, so they go to bed too.
Yeah. You find the time.
Yeah.
And like you said, your husband's away, so you got to fill up that time in some form.
Yeah.
You know what? Us entrepreneurs, we don't sit on the couch and binge Netflix.
No.
Like, we are always creating and doing other things.
Mhm.
Like, we don't sit still. This doesn't surprise me with you whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's nice too, Liz, that you get to finally like incorporate all different aspects of your artwork all in one area.
Yes.
And all into like your own home, your own space.
Mm-hmm. Eventually, with like the property that we have, I do want to get into like a children's art camp.
Oh.
Yeah, for a couple weeks in the summer, just have kids to our place and
Yeah.
do art all day and have like a little art show for their parents at the end of the week.
So
that's new goals.
Yeah. Looking back on like all of your years of experience and all that you've done, all that you've accomplished, like, it's so nice to kind of be calling the shots still, like, after all this time. And now, like, having it all kind of come in a full circle moment in your own home, in your own environment, and getting your kids now all involved and stuff. So with that being said, because you didn't take the conventional route of a 9 to 5 and you followed your own path by becoming an entrepreneur, what would you tell your kids about discovering their own talents and pursuing their passions and putting in the work to make their own dreams come true?
I would say do what you want in life. Whatever's going to make you happy. You can make money doing anything. Honestly, you can. My son said when he grows up, he wants to be a father. And I just thought that was so cute, but also like, what does he want to do with that? Does he want to have like a parenting blog? Does he want to have like a reality show? What does he want to do to like, you know, make money out of being a dad?
I was actually going to bring that up if you weren't going to, because I think that's so important to be like, yes, you can absolutely be a dad. And I think that's great. And I think that's wonderful that you want to do that. But also, like, you're going to have to make some money too. Like,
make the money. So you have to.
Yeah. You know, but how can we kind of like build on this a little bit further?
Exactly.
So I love that, like, reality show aspect piece or the blogger or YouTuber, like, okay, like, but how can you kind of, you know, how can you kind of build on that a little bit further to make some income on the side too?
Ways to do anything in life.
Yeah, that's right. And Liz, who is one local boss babe that continues to inspire you through your personal entrepreneurship journey that you were spotlighting today on my anniversary special, and why should everyone also know about them?
So I love Jessica Gibson at Handmade Herbology. She is the earthiest, hippiest, cutest girl ever. She makes like all kinds of soap and all things earthy. She is currently building like a little retreat on a property, and I just love everything that she's about. I'm sort of going a slow living route like in my life as well. I just admire what she's doing so much.
Great shout out, Liz. And you actually were making soaps at one point too, weren't you?
Yeah.
Are you still making soaps?
No, well, not currently, but I mean, when my space is back together, I feel like I'm going to make everything again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do a little collab or something with her at that point, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Liz, congratulations to you and your 10-year anniversary. And I'm just so inspired by you every day and love following along, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you for being a part of OV Boss Babes.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, woman.
Cheers.
Perfect.